Hello, everyone. This is Danielle Allen, your Northern Virginia realtor.
I'm Daryl Allen, CPA.
And so, Daryl, I want to talk to you about 3 key factors that are affecting home affordability.
This is very interesting, though, because I know that affordability is really a problem for a lot of people right now.
Absolutely. So over the past year, a lot of people have been talking about housing affordability and how tight it has gotten. But just recently, there's been a little bit of a relief on that front as mortgage rates have gone down since their most recent peak back in October. But there's more to being able to afford a home than just the mortgage rates. So to really understand home affordability, you need to look at a combination of 3 important factors. Do you know what those are?
I want to make a guess that one of those factors has to be the interest rate.
Okay, mortgage rates.
Okay. And there's 2 more, correct? The taxes, is that relevant?
No.
Okay. Then I guess just the overall price of the home.
Price of the home, yep. So that's 2.
That's 2.
And then there's 1 more.
And this is built into the monthly cost of the home?
No, this is just affecting affordability of purchasing a home.
The down payment?
Wages.
Oh, of course.
Wages.
Yes.
So, okay. So if we talk about mortgage rates, let's start there with the first one. So mortgage rates have come down in recent months. And looking forward, there's a lot of experts out there that expect them to continue to decline further over the course of this year. And so even a small change in mortgage rates can have a big impact on somebody's purchasing power because it makes it easier for them to be able to afford a home with a lower interest, with the interest rates being lower. So that's going to be a huge thing here coming up. And they have recently fallen. At last year at one point, they were up to almost 8%. And now we're down to just 6 and just under that, depending on the loan. You can even find some that are, in the low 5s as well.
And I know that we explained this during in our previous podcast episodes, but the main reason why interest rates are so high is because it was based upon the Fed's reaction to inflation.
Yep.
They were trying to cool down the economy, think if they cool down the economy and cool down the demand, then the price of everyday items will also drop.
Correct.
Yes.
And so they have recently fallen and they're at a plateau. Now, I will say experts have said that they don't think the rates will go as low as where we were at the, 3 and 4%. But if people remember, the average has always been in the 5 to 6. So we're about, average of where we were in years past. So that's your mortgage rate. So home prices. So the second important factor is the home prices.
And this is a very big factor because, of course, depending on where you want to live at, it really depends on the how much you can afford to buy for a home, right? But I do know that a lot of the desirable places to live, of course, the homes are going to be more expensive, right?
Exactly.
Especially if you have children and you're trying to buy in an area where that has really good schools, right? The schools is going to affect the price of the home. So, home prices are a big deal. Even in cities where there's a lot less inventory, like San Francisco.
Yeah.
And
New York.
New York, yeah, exactly. You got so many people that's looking for a space to live in, and just not a lot of inventory.
Exactly. So after going up at a relatively normal pace last year, home prices are expected to continue to rise moderately here in this 2024 year. And that's because the inventory is only projected to grow slightly, according to the Bright MLS chief economist, Lisa. And so she says that more inventory will generally offset by more buyers in the market. So as a result, it is expected that overall the median home price in the U.S. will grow modestly. So that's another big factor where there's not a lot of inventory out there. But with the mortgage rates dropping, more buyers are coming to the market because now they're like, okay, I can take on a 5 or 6% interest rate. But then you still have a lot of these home buyers that had interest rates at, 3 to 4, even 2% in some areas. If they're military, they don't want to give that up. for even a 5% or 6% interest rate. So they're staying put in their homes, or they're renting out their homes. So while you're going to have more buyers, the home prices aren't going to drop. They're just going to go up because the demand is going to be there, but there's not going to be a lot of inventory out there in the market.
There's not a lot of people out there that are selling their homes, right?
Exactly.
Because if you sell your home, you still need a place to live at.
Yeah.
So if you sell your home and say you get a really good deal on it, or if you go somewhere else and you want to buy another property, that property is going to be expensive, right?
Yes.
Even if you want to downgrade your life, like say you older, the children's at the house, you want to downgrade your life.
Yeah.
Even if you move somewhere where it's like a 2-bedroom property or whatever, I mean, you're still going to have some cost to that. But the really big thing though is the interest rate that you're going to pay on your mortgage.
Yes.
Right?
That's
very high.
And we always say in real estate, you marry the house, date the rate. So you can always refinance later on, and that's the dating the rate, but you marry the house. So you want to make sure that you buy a house that you're committed to for long term and want to be.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because refinancing only work if you're really committed to staying in that property for a long period of time.
Exactly.
If you don't plan on spending probably longer than 5 years in a particular property, or at least keeping it in your possession and using it as a rental property,
right,
then it really is no purpose of refinancing.
Right. So there is great news is that because prices aren't going to skyrocket like they did during the pandemic, but it also means that, you're probably it's going to cost you more if you wait, to buy a house, because you're going to be amongst other buyers where you could get into what we see here a lot in Northern Virginia, that bidding war, to where you're going to end up paying more for a house than you typically would.
So are we moving on to number 3?
So 3.
Because this is the most interesting to me, and I think to a lot of people.
Yeah, the last one is wages. So this is number 3. And so there's another positive factor in affordability right now is the rising income. So there is a graph from the Federal Reserve that show how wages have grown over time. So there is a trend where people are making more money. They've gotten that increase at work. And so that's going to really typically help with people being able to put more money down and afford a home. So higher wages improve affordability because they reduce the percentage of your income it takes to pay your mortgage. And that's because you don't have to put as much of your paycheck towards your monthly housing costs.
There's a couple of things I want to mention with that, though, because wages are going up technically, but from my understanding, they're not matching inflation. So inflation is actually higher than a lot of people's wage increase. So really, you're not really necessarily receiving any kind of increase because the inflation is so high. The other point that I want to make also is that even though your wage increase doesn't mean you're going to still have the ability to put money back for a down payment on a home. And then if you do have the ability to put a little bit back, it's going to take years for people to accumulate at least 10% of a future home value.
Yes, but I want to also mention that a lot of people think you need 20% down in order to get a home. You don't.
No, you don't.
You can do 5, 10. There's a lot of programs and grants out there in different communities. I know here in Virginia, Fairfax, Arlington, even Alexandria City, they all have grant programs that will help with the down payment. So I do agree that, you go to the typical grocery store right now, eggs and bread is way more than we used to pay. And so if you make more, you spend more, obviously. But the good thing is that companies and businesses are seeing that they do need to pay people more in order to hold on to them. So as your wages go up, you start to, if you spend a little less, you can save a little bit more so that you do have some money to help put down on a home.
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible, right?
Right.
If you want to buy a home, it's going to take sacrifice.
Yes.
It took a sacrifice for us, years of us saving before we was able to put down some money for our first home. And then I think we only stayed there like 5 years, but we was able to build a lot of equity into that home that when we sold it, we got some of that value back and we were able to use that for our next home down payment, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, anything that you want, you're going to have to sacrifice for. It's not going to be easy for a lot of people, but it's going to be very doable.
Yes, I agree. And so the bottom line is, everybody's situation is different. There are 3 factors right now between mortgage rates, wages, and home prices that affect, somebody's ability to afford a home. And the best advice that I can give is sit down, look at your finances, sit down with a mortgage lender, somebody that can kind of tell you all the programs and what's out there, and then connect with a realtor to kind of help guide you in those steps. And so if you're in the Northern Virginia area, you're looking for a realtor, hit me up. It's Donyell, DONYELL .Allen, ALLEN at C21NM.com. That's my email address, or you can find me on Instagram at realtor.DonyellAllen. And we can sit down and discuss financially. But I always say the best time to buy is when it's the right time for you.
Exactly. Everybody stay up.